Before we dive in, drop a quick hi in the comments. It may seem small, but trust me, it really helps YouTube share this story with more sci-fi fans like us. I'd love to see who's watching.
The sky was burning sideways. Rourke kept one hand on the crash rail, the other wrapped around his rifle stock, boots magnetized to the latcher's deck as gravity argued with the thrusters. "Altitude," he barked. 20 kilometers, Otta shouted from the cockpit, his voice cracked. "Decaying fast." The dropship howled. Re-entry flares lit the side glass like war paint, red over gray. No radio chatter, no targeting pings, just wind and flame and a ridgeline waiting to kill them. Rourke turned to Ash. "Helmet sealed?" Ash nodded, wide-eyed. "Still too clean, still too new." "Good," Rourke said. "Might be the only thing that saves your brain." The latcher slammed into the ridge like a thrown fist. Shock pistons screamed. Trees, metallic, spiral-limbed, 12 meters tall, snapped and shattered across the ridge as the hull scraped through. The rear hatch blew open mid-skid. Dust and burnt ozone poured in. Rourke was already moving. "Out! Out! Fan left!" The squad disembarked like a reflex. 4 shapes in heat-resistant armor, no unit markings, matte black with patch-sewn tags. The only sound was their boots and the soft crush of the dust underfoot. Grapevine Ridge was silent. Too silent. "Check air," Rourke ordered. Bente snapped a sensor wand from his thigh rig. Trace radiation. No particulates. No life. No EM bleed. Just static. Static? Yeah, broadband, white noise, like an open mic with no speaker. "Where from?" "Everywhere." Otta stepped out last, dragging a compact relay dish. "Command wants us to set up eyes, confirm site viability." "Do it," Rourke said. "Then we dig in." They moved efficiently, Ash on perimeter, Otta building the relay, Bente muttering to himself while sorting his kit. Rourke paced. He watched the tree line. It didn't move, but it wasn't still either. 50 clicks above, the Graxitool seed core adjusted its orbit. Inside the chamber, lined with psionic lattice and viral cradles, Enforcer Kirox observed the field. 3 seeders pulsed the neuroseed signal in alternating rhythms. The humans had landed, the virus engaged. And nothing happened. No sync, no harmonic return, no pattern resonance, just flatline. Kirox leaned forward, the tendrils across its mouth curling with unease. A 4th seeder recalibrated, broadcasting stronger, more aggressive, now tuned to forced override. Still nothing. Then worse, recoil. 1 seeder flared yellow. Pulse echo returned inverted. The unit froze mid-air, shuddered, and detonated in a puff of viral mist and neural static. Kirox made no sound. Instead, it emitted a short-range dissonance pulse. The broadcast was clear. Error state. Species 941H human, non-responsive. Purge protocol initiated. Grapevine Ridge, 1.3 minutes later. The fog started low, not mist. Fog. Heavy. Almost oily. It came from nothing and filled everything. Rourke's optics dimmed as particulate smeared the HUD. "Otta, yeah, I see it." "Scan?" "No heat, no mass, no source. It's not fog," Bente hissed. "Spore cloud." Rourke froze. "You briefed?" "No," Bente said, "but I've seen it. In the Yathari files." Yathari were wiped out. "Exactly." Ash stumbled. His hand shot to the side of his helmet. "I heard something." "What?" "I don't know. It wasn't words. Just pressure." "Hold position," Ash grunted, slumping against a broken tree trunk. Above them, Kirox watched as the humans stood still. No twitch. No submission. He pulsed the signal again. Still nothing. The 3rd seeder spiked in overload, its neural spine fractured. It fell from the sky, leaking pale mist and static pulses as it crashed into the trees below. Kirox issued the next command. Initiate consciousness reduction. Deploy razor wombs. Excise the uncorrectable. The trees began to scream. Not from sound, from resonance. Rourke's suit lit up with collision alerts and localized sonic spikes. The air shook. Then came the shapes. Thin-edged, glass-bodied and fast, like shards of the sky falling with intent. Razor wombs, 2 of them, diving without lights, without sound. Bladed hulls glinting with thin neurofilm. They weren't here to talk. "Contact!" Rourke roared. Ash fired first. Reflex burst. Rounds pinging off the lead razor's hull. Otta was already moving, dragging the relay to cover. Bent had dropped behind wreckage, rifle up. The razor wombs opened fire. No beams, no plasma, just needles. Bone thin, metal bright, and loaded with neural disruptors. One scraped Bente's leg. He grunted, rolled, shot back. The razor peeled away. The second hit the relay. It detonated. Sparks flew. Otta screamed, not in pain, but rage. "Fuck! Relay's gone!" "Fall back!" Rourke shouted. "Tree cover! Circle up!" The squad moved fast, too fast to think. Muscle memory. One motion, drilled in heat and dirt and years of off-world drops. Behind them, the razor wombs vanished into the fog. "Comms?" Ash checked. "Dead." "Satellite link?" "Dead." "Command?" Otta looked up. The sky was silent. Kirox floated in silence. The core mirror link was already open. He transmitted his report. Subject immune. No harmonic entry. Doctrine failure probable. The response was delayed. Then came only 2 words. "Burn them." Rourke sat behind a shattered ridge boulder, reloading. His hands were steady. Ash crouched beside him, eyes wide, chest heaving. "They're not trying to capture us," Ash said. "No." "Then what the hell are they trying to do?" Rourke chambered around, checked his watch. Nothing but static. He looked up at the empty sky, at the fire trails in the distance, at the clouds rolling in like rot, and said, flat, "Doesn't matter what they're trying." He stood. "We're not going anywhere." The fog didn't lift at dawn. It just changed color. Rourke crouched in the tree line, rifle balanced on his knee, watching the place where the sun should be. Everything was gray. The trees were matte bone. The dust was slick with dew that didn't feel like water. No wind, no birds. Just that buzz, low and constant, like someone whispering into a dead mic. Behind him, Otta adjusted the replacement antenna, patched together with copper from a burned-out med scanner. "Any signal?" Rourke asked. Otta shook his head, not looking up. "It's not the gear. There's no bounce, no carrier wave. It's like orbit's been erased." "Keep trying," Rourke said. Otta did. Bente was crouched over Ash's leg, wrapping a torn boot with synthline. No infection. No break. Just bruising and panic. "You're not limping because of pain," Bente said. Ash looked at him. "You're limping because you think this means something," Bente continued. "It doesn't. It's a wound. That's all. Walk through it or lie down." Ash tightened the strap himself. The razor womb came in silent. Just a flicker of light behind the fog, then a snap like fabric tearing in your spine. Otta's head jerked. He stood, too fast, and caught the tail spike mid-turn. His body went rigid, vibrated, then dropped. Rourke didn't shout. He fired. 3 bursts, full auto, caught the razor mid-arc. The hull flared with kinetic impacts. It veered, shuddered, clipped a branch, and spiraled down into the ravine below. Rourke moved fast. He reached Otta's body in 4 steps. Helmet cracked, neck gone. Dead before he hit the ground. Bente pulled Ash back into cover. The fog thickened again. Spore cloud response. Always after a razor kill. "We're exposed," Rourke said. "Strip the dish, burn the rest. We're going dark." "Where?" Bente asked. "Downridge, cave system. Thermal shielding. We lose weight. We move faster. Bente hesitated. Ash won't keep pace. Ash didn't argue. He just stood. They burned the relay, pulled drives from Atta's chest rig, scattered the pieces under a collapsed tree. Bente smeared scent spoof from a cracked med tube across their suits. The static in the air stayed the same. Rourke didn't bother speaking. Orders were dead. Command was dead. The mission didn't exist anymore. Now it was just distance, how far they could get before the next razor passed overhead. 4 hours later, they found the cave. It wasn't much. A split in the rock, hidden behind mineral-scaled vines, barely big enough to crawl through. Inside, dark, dry, quiet. The three of them sat with backs to stone, sharing ration tabs they couldn't taste. Ash broke the silence. I saw Atta's face when he got hit. Rourke didn't answer. He wasn't in pain, Ash said. He just looked surprised. That's what the virus does, Bente replied. Hits the motor cortex, locks everything. You stay conscious. Can't scream. Can't blink. He chewed his ration once, swallowed, like being buried alive. Ash looked at the ground. I don't want to die like that. Then don't, Rourke said. High above, Enforcer Kirox stood in silence. The third razor hadn't returned. Cedars reported contamination, human presence, viral non-bonding, synaptic bounce. Kirox reviewed the pulse recordings. There was nothing. Not rejection, not resistance. Just non-existence. The virus behaved as though the humans weren't alive. No patterns, no data, no mind. He sent the findings to the core mirror. The response was simple. Biological blasphemy confirmed. Excision mandate expanded. Doctrine compromised if uncontained. Kirox hesitated. He had never hesitated. Nightfall brought spores. They didn't fall. They floated, drifted, swirled, like glass dust under a black light. The fog glowed faint green. The squad moved single file. Silent. Fast. Bente led. Rourke center. Ash rear. They made it 20 meters before the sporecaster dropped. It didn't scream. Didn't fly. It just descended. Slow. Deliberate. And opened. The cloud was immediate. Bente caught the full burst. He slammed back into a tree, coughing inside his sealed helmet. His visor fogged over with microspore film. Rourke fired. 2 rounds. The sporecaster ruptured. Bente was down. Rourke yanked him behind cover, tore open the med line, checked the seals. Helmet, intact. Skin, dry. Pupils, reactive. He wasn't dead, but he wasn't getting up. Ash stumbled to them. Is he hit? No penetration, Rourke said. Just knocked out. Virus? No effect. Then we carry him. Rourke nodded once, pulled Bente's arm over his shoulder. They moved again. Slower, heavier. And then the rain started. It wasn't water. It hissed when it hit metal, left streaks on visors that shimmered in strange colors. Ash stopped. It's in the rain, he said. Rourke didn't answer. He shifted Bente's weight and kept walking. The rain hissed against metal like acid. It left streaks that shimmered wrong, and Rourke's visor burned faint red where the droplets pooled. He adjusted Bente's weight and kept moving. Ash stumbled behind them, breathing in short bursts, rifle slack in his grip. The forest had changed. The trees weren't trees anymore. They were shapes, angles, camouflage for things that watched. They hadn't seen a cedar in 2 hours, which meant the next one would be perfectly placed. They reached a shelf of overgrown rock, natural cover from above. Rourke ducked under, set Bente down, and slid off his gauntlets. He stared at the rust crawling across the knuckles. Ash dropped beside him. Rain's eating the suit. Rourke didn't respond. Ash looked at Bente, still unconscious, breathing shallow. His helmet streaked with color drip. "Can we stop?" Ash asked. Rourke reached forward. He pressed 2 fingers against the side of Ash's helmet. Not hard, just enough to hold him there. "Breathe quieter," Rourke said. "Then let go." Ash did. Minutes passed. Then came the cedar. No engine, no sound. Just a slow descent. Spider-like. Limbs curled under a central pod, trailing wet mist and antenna threads. It paused in the air, above the ledge. Rourke didn't move. Ash's hand twitched once. Rourke gripped his wrist, held it still. The cedar hovered, and passed. No signal, no ping, no reaction. Ash whispered, "Why didn't it see us?" Rourke slowly looked down at his dead comms pack. No emissions, no pulse. Dead gear meant no signature. They weren't ghosts. They were just off. Bente woke with a cough and blood in his mouth. He didn't speak at first, just ran fingers along his visor, looked at the streaks, tasted them. Rourke watched. "Bioreactive?" Bente murmured. Rourke nodded. Not eating the metal, interacting with it, mapping neural resonance patterns from the EM field. It's looking for signals, not bodies. Ash blinked. "English?" Bente leaned up on one elbow. "We don't ping, Private. The virus isn't failing because we're resistant." He spat blood into a sample pouch. "It's failing because it doesn't think we're alive." They ran field tests. Ash sliced his palm open, not deep. Let blood hit a moss patch. The spores around it shriveled. Bente took a sweat sample, diluted it, sprayed it across his forearm. Spores landed. Died. "Chemical rejection," Bente muttered. "We're toxic." Ash flexed his fingers. "Our bodies kill it. Our minds confuse it," Bente said. "Our biology rejects it. We're not immune." He looked at Rourke. "We're offensive." Rourke didn't smile, but he moved faster. They stripped what they could from Ada's remains. Thermal mesh, emitter dampeners, half a battery pack. Rourke took razor womb shrapnel, jammed it into a torn leg plate, and tied it down with synth cord. Crude edge. Not elegant, but heavy. Then they waited. They smeared blood across their gauntlets, slathered it along the armor joints. Sweat pooled in the chest seals. Bente kept collecting it, filtering, reapplying. When the next cedar came, it didn't even look. It passed. Rourke stepped into its path and swung. The spike blade took the cedar across its rear intake. The shell cracked. It wobbled midair, reversed thrust, began to scream. Not sound, but static. Ash tackled it, slammed it to the dirt. Bente jammed the filtered nozzle into the open pod and sprayed. The cedar convulsed. And died. No virus, no pulse, just a hiss, and silence. They tore it apart. Inside, harmonic array. Viral sacs. Pulsed memory core. Ash found the transceiver node, still blinking. Still broadcasting a trace ping every 60 seconds. "Bait," Rourke said. Ash looked up. Rourke knelt, pulled a field knife, opened the node casing. "Rewire it," he said. "Give it a different name." Ash blinked. "What name?" Rourke pointed to the casing. "Anything harmless." 2 hours later, the drone was back in the air, broadcasting at low gain, under a false ID. Critter, 71, local, non-threat. They dragged it to the ridgeline, propped it on a tree branch, and sat underneath in total silence. Minutes passed. A Vesserat scanner passed overhead and kept going. Didn't look, didn't pause, didn't see them. Ash exhaled slow. "They're blind. They're arrogant," Bente said. "They think they understand everything. When they don't, they look away." "They've never had to adapt," Rourke said. He stood. "We have. Tundar." The false drone kept blinking long after they left it behind. It dangled on a bent tree limb, softly pulsing the non-threat ID in 10-second intervals. A lie in the wind. a whisper, pretending to be small. Rourke didn't look back at it. He just walked. They moved in silence, single file. Benty limped, but didn't slow. Ash walked with his rifle low and eyes higher. The blood-slick armor was flaking now, but still holding against the mist. No fire, no signals, no mistakes. Rourke led them along the old riverbed, now just stone and dried metallic mud, until they found a collapsed thicket, half buried under snowmelt. They made camp without speaking. Boiled filtered snow in ration tins, checked weapon seals, slept in shifts. Above the atmosphere, something watched. Not Kirox, not a cedar, not a drone. This was older, thinner. A watcher. The watcher's body was suspended in nutrient mist, limbs folded like origami, face hidden behind layered sensory lattice. It did not speak. It listened. And in the harmonic field where pulse resonance flowed like wind, it felt something wrong. No feedback, no loop, a hole in the waveform. That wasn't possible. It watched again. Still no correction. Still no pattern. This wasn't blindness. It was defiance. The anomaly wasn't resisting the signal. It was dismantling it. Down on the ridge, Benty hacked into a half-dead bush and poured what passed for hot water into a cracked ration pouch. Ash leaned nearby, watching the tree line. "How's your leg?" Ash asked. "Rotten," Benty said. "But it's not the spores." "You sure? I'd be screaming already." He drank the slurry and winced. No antibiotics left. "You'll make it." Benty stared at him, then said calmly, "That's a guess." Ash didn't reply. The next morning, Rourke led them south, over broken terrain and deep spore pits, to a valley where cedar wreckage littered the ground like bones. That's where they found it, half buried in vines and moss, a thin tower of obsidian-colored metal, spiraling upward like stretched glass. Silent. Cold. A mind temple array. Rourke stopped them at 50 meters. "Thoughts?" Benty squinted through his visor. "Active. Energy signature faint. But there. Danger? Unknown," Benty said. "Temple arrays store neural patterns of compliant species. This one's not here by accident." Ash shifted his grip on his rifle. "Should we go around it?" Rourke didn't answer. He was already walking forward. Ash hesitated. "Sir?" Rourke didn't stop. The ground near the array felt different. Not softer, but smaller, like pressure pushing inward instead of down. Ash followed, slowly. At 15 meters, the array spoke, not with words, with memory. Ash dropped to his knees. He gasped once, then locked still. Rourke spun. "Ash!" Ash's eyes were wide, dilated. His hands twitched. Rourke grabbed his shoulder, shook hard. "Ash! Look at me!" Ash blinked. "Who am I?" Rourke said. "You're real," Ash whispered. "Damn right." They dragged him back. Benty ran scans. No infection, no penetration. Just neural echo. The temple read him. Tried to write back. "Didn't work," Benty said, "but it tried." Rourke turned back toward the array, took 2 steps, raised his rifle, and dropped it. Then he pulled the razor womb blade from his calf sheath and walked up to the tower. One blow, then another, and another. Steel on alien glass. The array cracked, shivered, shrank. Then it screamed. Not aloud, but in the harmonic field. High above, Kirox recoiled. The pattern had ruptured. A temple had been defiled. Desecrated. Kirox turned to the Watcher. "I go to the surface. Personally." The descent craft breached atmosphere 12 minutes later. It was not a cedar, not a razor, not a spore pod. It was built for gravity. Built for finality. And it was heading for Grapevine Ridge. Rourke stood at the cliff line, watching the fire trail overhead. Ash came up beside him. "They're coming." "Yeah," Ash stared at the sky. What do we do? Rourke didn't look away from the smoke. We make them bleed. The fire trail vanished behind the cliffs. Rourke didn't watch it land. He was already moving. They'll drop scouts first, he said. We bait them. We bleed them. And we bury them. Bente nodded. Ash followed. 10 minutes later, they found a razor womb in the shale. It was cracked open, half buried and twitching, as if it had fallen out of the sky in mid-mission. No scorch marks, Bente muttered. Didn't fall. Was dropped. Ejected, Ash said. System failure? More like neural conflict, Bente replied. It tried to read us and choked. Rourke crouched beside it. He reached in and pulled. The fuel pod came free with a screech of strained metal. Strip the core. Bypass the safeties, he said. Ash blinked. To what end? To make them feel something. They worked fast. Gloves off. Hands numb from cold and wet and blood. Bente cracked the cedar node they'd salvaged. Its harmonic memory core was still intact. Fragmented, but functional. You ever wire one of these? Ash asked. No, Bente said, but I've dismantled one. Same in reverse. He pried the array open, flipped the synapse runners, and bled charge from the razor pod into the surge rack. Could be a misfire, he said. Won't be, Rourke replied. They sealed it in the razor's carapace, loaded with scrap shrapnel and the broken teeth of 3 destroyed cedar arms. Then they buried it shallow in the mud, under a low ridge with perfect sight lines. While Bente worked, Rourke sat with Ash. Both stripped down to undersuit, blood-slick armor drying nearby, just steam rising from their shoulders and breath. We're not here to finish anything, Ash said. No. But you're building traps. Yes. Why? Rourke looked at the tree line. Because they're still coming. Ash nodded. And we're not running anymore? No, Rourke said. We're not. Above the ridge, the descent craft unfolded. No noise. No engines. It simply opened. Metal petals blooming into the dirt, soft and terrible. And Kirax stepped out. His limbs hissed with exoskeletal tension. His tendrils were unbound, pulsing in short bursts as he tasted the field. He felt the absence first. No signals, no thoughts, no pattern. Then he felt the damage, like psychic heat. The place where the mind temple had stood was still wrong. He began walking. Back in the trap zone, Bente finished the rig. EMP charge in the forward cone, shrapnel behind, cedar harmonics set to detonate on proximity ping. What's the trigger? Rourke asked. Same as the virus. Pattern lock. When it tries to read us, it detonates. Ash raised an eyebrow. So if it doesn't see us, it doesn't blow. Guess we'd better make sure it does. They moved to high ground. The dead drone still blinked on its branch. Rourke tilted the node to face downhill, straight into the valley choke. Will they take the bait? Ash asked. They're doctrine-bound, Bente said. They don't ignore signals. And when they see it's us, they'll try to overwrite us again. Rourke stood. Let them try. They waited. Rain fell, fog thickened, and finally, movement. 3 cedar units, 1 razor womb drifting behind, slow, cautious. They pinged the signal. It responded. They began approach. Midway through the valley, the razor slowed, then tilted, then pinged again, harder, trying to sink. That was the trigger. The trap erupted. EMP pulse hit first. Silence to the harmonic field. Then came the shrapnel. Twisted cedar blades flung at 600 mprs through pulsing alien air. The razor womb folded in on itself and crashed down in fire and blood and static. 2 cedars disintegrated mid-pivot. The last one pinged frantically, a panic burst, before its casing fractured. Ash stared at the wreckage. That's 3. Nope, Rourke said. That's bait. Kirax felt it. The ripple. The noise. The refusal. He stopped walking, then turned toward the source. His limbs clicked. The sky grew darker. He began to run. Karax walked through fire. The ridge trap still smoked behind him. Wrecked cedars lay scattered like bones. The razor womb's shell hissed as rain turned heat into steam. Kirax didn't care. His gait was slow, deliberate. 3 legs, 12 joints. Dozens of tendrils twitching across his upper spine. Each step pulsed into the ground with harmonic noise, not random. A code. He was calling something. Half a kilometer ahead, Rourke finished wiring the shrapnel line. 6 spools of flex wire, steel ball bearings. Clay from Benty's field kit molded around a salvaged core charge. He locked it down. Ash stood beside him, eyes locked on the slope. "Can we stop him?" Ash asked. "Better," Rourke said. "We can kill him." Ash nodded once. Benty sat 20 meters back, propped against a broken cedar spine. Pale, gaunt, eyes sunken, skin damp with sweat. He held the core fragment from the mine temple in one hand. His thumb rested on a stripped detonation wire. "This'll fry me," he said, voice dry. Rourke crouched beside him. Not yet. "Once he breaches the 3rd marker." Rourke stood. Benty didn't look up. "I'll know." The forest changed as Kirax approached. The mist pulled away. The static grew louder. Even the trees leaned back. Ash felt his helmet vibrate. "Sound?" "No," Rourke said. "Resonance. He's not broadcasting. He's consuming, listening for thoughts." "Will he hear us?" "He's already listening." Contact. Kirax stepped into the first trap. Pressure plate snapped. Clay charge blew upward. Pure kinetic. It staggered him, took his left shoulder plate off. He didn't stop. Second trap blew a second later. Line shrapnel across the face. The exomask cracked. He screamed. But not like a man. Like metal being punished. Rourke and Ash opened fire from the left flank. Rounds slammed into Kirax's torso. Armor peeled. Tendrils writhed and burned. He twisted mid-pivot. Too fast. A blur of limbs and reactive rage. Ash moved right. Rourke broke left. Kirax followed the heat, straight toward Benty. The last trap failed. Misfire, wet charge, dead wire. Didn't matter. Benty pressed the core, a pulse. The mine temple fragment screamed into the harmonic field. One last scream. Not to damage, not to kill, but to deafen. Kirax froze mid-step. His limbs convulsed. The world twisted around him. The link shattered. And Benty slumped, eyes open. Dead. Rourke charged, closed the distance, ducked under a wild swing, dropped his rifle, pulled the cedar blade from his side rig, sank it deep into Kirax's abdomen. The enforcer howled, grabbed Rourke by the throat, lifted him off the ground. Rourke kicked, choked, slammed his elbow into the broken tendrils. No effect. Ash raised his rifle, no clean shot. Rourke's body in the way. So he adjusted, tilted the barrel up, aimed at the blade hilt, and fired. The round punched through the base of the grip, drove the blade deeper, up, into Kirax's chest, through the harmonic core. Kirax jerked, staggered back, dropped Rourke, took 2 steps, then fell. Silence. Rourke coughed, stood, looked down at the body. Alien fluid hissed where it met the rain. The sky was still now. No more static. No hum. No resonance. Dead quiet. Ash walked over to Benty's body, sat beside him. Didn't speak. Rourke sat down hard, armor scraping shale. He didn't say anything either. There was nothing to say. The job wasn't done. But the killing was. For now. Kirax's body pulsed once. His limbs, once precise and symmetrical, spasmed and collapsed, then went cold, and the harmonic field around him flickered, died. The forest went still. Above the ridge, static rolled through the clouds like smoke without fire. Ash and Rourke stood silent beside Benty's body. Vesserat Core Mirror Array, Orbit Layer 0. The moment Kirox's field went dark, a rupture tore through the psionic lattice. The signal chain severed, return harmonics nullified. Inside the neural vaults, mirrored minds pulsed error states in perfect synchrony. An enforcer had died unprocessed. Unthinkable, uncontained. The virus recalibrated, searching again for a template, a pattern. It pulsed across every stored consciousness and found nothing. The anomaly was real. Humans were unpatterned, not invisible, incompatible. The system had no command for that. So it stalled. Rourke didn't bury Benty. There was no time, no shovel, no prayer to say. He stripped his gear, folded the man's arms, set the broken cedar blade across his chest. Ash stood watch. They said nothing. Later, in the hollow of a dead cedar husk, Rourke took apart Kirox's emitter rig. Ash watched him work. Quiet. Face unreadable. "What's the plan?" Ash asked. "Give them something they'll understand." Rourke held up the emitter core. Still warm, still bleeding faint harmonic residue. He wired it into the cedar node they'd salvaged 2 days ago. Benty's toolkit lay open on the dirt beside him. "We can broadcast?" Ash asked. "Yeah," Rourke said. "One burst." "To whom?" "Everyone." Within the command lattice above Vesserat orbit, the Watchers hovered in dissonance. Kirox's memory field could not be retrieved. No psionic death echo. No pattern lock. The core mirror could not interpret what had occurred. An absence. A deletion. A kill without capture. One Watcher pulsed a challenge signal to the Enforcer cast. No answer. Another requested virus recalibration. The virus responded with, "Pattern not found." Then, doctrine mismatch. Then, purge undefined. Then, silence. Ash stood outside the shell, rain running down his armor. The static was fading. No cedars. No pulses. Nothing. "Is this over?" he asked. "No," Rourke said. He flipped the switch. The rig whined. The harmonic field buzzed once, then stabilized. He leaned in and spoke. No filter, no modulation. Just words. "You tried to overwrite us. Tried to file us. Store us. Define us. Tried to hear us. But there's nothing for you to hear. No signal. No sync. Just noise." He cut the power. The message bounced once. Then again. Then broke containment. Every system received it. Every harmonic vault heard the voice, the cadence, the language, the finality. Something beyond comprehension. Not because it was complex, but because it was refusal. No submission, no pattern, just static. The Watchers went still. The broadcast signal collapsed into silence. Across the Enforcer network, command threads terminated one by one. And deep within the core mirror, where outcomes were sorted, ranked, and resolved, a final designation burned into the system log. Humanity. Unsortable. No classification followed. No corrective action triggered. The system had no answer. Ash sat beneath the dead tree line, helmet resting in the mud beside him. Rain slid off broken branches, soft but relentless. "You think they'll come back?" he asked. Rourke didn't answer. He just looked up. The sky was empty, but it wasn't quiet anymore. Not after what they'd learned. Vesserat core mirror. Collapse state. There was no recovery phase. Without pattern, the core mirror could not advance. Without sync, doctrine could not resolve. Across the orbital lattice, Watchers cycled conflicting responses. Purge, withdrawal, containment. Each canceling the other before execution. Humans could not be processed. So the command resolved into the only remaining action. Species 941H. Non-patterned. Unreconstructible. Containment enacted. Not conquest. Quarantine. The Vesserat began to pull back, not because they were beaten, but because they no longer knew what escalation meant. Grapevine Ridge. Surface layer. Ash found a smooth stone, placed it over the burned wreckage that had been Benty's chest rig. He didn't say a word, didn't call it a grave. Rourke watched from 20 paces off, hands still slick with fuel gel. He was burning Karax's emitter, boiling the signal cord down to slag. "No salvage," Rourke said. Ash nodded. They moved methodically through the ruins, scavenged nothing for survival, only destruction. Every cedar remnant was pulped, every razor womb husk stripped of usable telemetry. They weren't trying to live longer. They were making sure nothing else could learn. Later, under what passed for daylight, Ash pulled off his chest plate. The skin beneath was torn open in 3 places, not deep, not lethal, but angry, infected, bruised, reopened by the last fight. He sat on the rock beside Rourke, said nothing. Rourke opened a medkit, one of the last, pressed gel into the wounds, strapped synthetic mesh tight. Ash winced, didn't pull away. They checked comms again. Static. Same empty bands. Same dead silence. Rourke stared at the relay for a long moment. Then, it chirped. Once. Both of them froze. Another chirp followed. Weak. Unstable. Narrow band. Ash turned slowly. That wasn't us. Rourke keyed the receiver. The signal wavered, fought interference, then resolved into a human voice. Strained, cautious, unmistakably civilian. "Unknown ground party, this is Free Trader Halcyon Drift. We caught your broadcast. Didn't make sense, but we figured you could use some help." Static crackled. "We're running spice and machine parts along the fringe. Picked you up 2 hours out. We're close, real close. If you're still breathing, say something." Ash swallowed. Rourke leaned into the mic. "This is Rourke," he said. "We're alive." A pause. Then a breath, sharp and relieved. "Copy that," the voice said. "Hold position. We're diverting hard. No guns worth a damn, but we've got med bays and hands. ETA, 2 hours, maybe less." The channel stayed open. No orders, no authority. Just a ship, choosing to answer. After hearing that help was on the way, Ash lay beneath the ridge shelf and finally let the fatigue take him. His breathing stayed shallow, one hand still curled around a rock like it might be needed again.